Jessica Broglie. I'm an advocate, coordinator, and teacher for multilingual learners in the Platteville School District in Southwest Wisconsin. I'm here today to very briefly go over Google Notebook LM. Of all of the AI tools available to teachers, I'm finding that Google Notebook is the most handy for me as my personal research assistant. Let me show you how. First, what you'll do is under your school account, try to go to notebooklm.google.com. If you find that it's not accessible, it's blocked, submit an IT ticket to get that unblocked. Yes, in the meantime, you can make a notebook under your personal Google account, but please note that you will not be able to share that notebook over to your school account. So it might be best just to wait until you can get it unblocked within your school domain. Once you do that, come back to notebooklm.google.com and click Create New. And so what you can do here is load PDFs, audio files, etc., content. But then you can also just access Google Drive or link websites, YouTube videos, and even just plain old text that you want to copy and paste in. Then what happens is that Google Notebook will curate or create for you a personalized research assistant experience. So in my case, I thought about all of the things that we have to know in our position. We have to be able to coach and support educators in delivery, but also modifying curriculum, providing accessible experiences and assessments, connecting with families. The list goes on, right? And one of those is definitely understanding case law. What are the rights of our multilingual learners in the United States? And what responsibilities do we have in supporting those rights? That's a really big ask, a big task, right? There's so much for you to read just under that umbrella alone. And so, yes, you can read the foundational case law. But what I decided to do was to see if I could make a notebook, a custom notebook that I could just ask it questions. So I loaded or linked, connected case law. I picked some of the foundational case laws that have the decisions that have impacted um, how we support multilingual learners in the United States and public school systems. So all of the big cases that we already know, but I didn't link blog posts, YouTube videos, random website. I went straight to case law and found those and linked them as a source. But then because I'm in Wisconsin, I also linked state specific, like statutes or content from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, right? So mine has a flavor of case law, federal mandates, state statutes, and also information like our Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction EL handbook, those kinds of things. Again, no interpretations of materials. Okay. And so when I did that, then it creates my customized research assistant where I'm able to ask it questions, but I can also click on the notebook guide and receive suggested questions, a summary, a study guide, a briefing doc, a timeline of events, just all the things. I would encourage you after you make a notebook to click on all of this. And one thing I'm really kind of digging right now is the customized podcast. So Google Notebook will look at all of the things you sourced and make a podcast of two people conversing about this material in a podcast that runs between, I don't know, 9 and 15 minutes roughly. And it actually sounds pretty natural. So take a listen.
It's much easier to say.
Right.
And this act says that states have to take appropriate action to help ELL students overcome language barriers in education.
Hmm.
But that phrase, appropriate action, it seems awfully broad.
It is deliberately vague.
Okay.
And that's where so much of the debate comes from.
Okay.
Because what does appropriate action
So it goes into this big discussion. And I found this to be very useful to listen to on the way to school or when I had some downtime. And not that, I consider the podcast to be gospel, but it is nice to hear discussion to also help me ask the right questions or go back and look at case law to dig a little bit deeper. I also appreciated the suggested questions that it provides, as you see on the screen. So you can also then take this notebook and share it with your department. So I have another colleague in our department. I shared it with her so she would be able to reference it as well. I highly recommend you check out Google Notebook LM. I find it to be just really helpful for my own learning. And it gets me thinking too about how AI can be a useful research assistant for a teacher. If you have any questions, please reach out, or if you have any examples of how you've used Google LM as an educator, I'd love to learn from you too.